most amazing coaches on our team. Her name is Amy Anfinson. Amy, how are you doing this Motivational Monday?
I'm great, Mo. Glad to be here.
Yeah, glad you're here as well. So today we're going to talk about how our emotions tend to drive us. And Amy, as you and I both know, in helping coach people through their emotional states, most people are reacting to their environment because they don't really know how to manage their emotions. And they think that by pushing them down or ignoring them, they're managing them, which couldn't be further from the truth. So today we're going to talk about how our emotions are really driving us when we think that they may not be. We're going to clear up those myths and what's really going on there. And then we're going to talk about the value of our emotions and why most people get this wrong, because the value of our emotions is not only living in the moment, but it's also, there's a lot of deep rooted problems that happen when we really don't understand our emotions. So we're going to talk about that as well. The biggest myth, I think, Amy, of our emotions is that we shouldn't have them. That if we were in a state of peace and bliss and perfectly spiritually aligned, that we wouldn't have feelings, or that we would just be living life in this ease and flow state, which I know ease and flow are two of your mantra terms, but it's really not about not having emotions, is it?
Right. It is about being able to feel them and be honest with yourself with what is going on. And when you can be honest with yourself, that's where you get traction and you can make movement. But if you are suppressing them, you have no way of changing, number one, how you feel,
right,
and changing your actions so you get different results.
Right. You know, when we are raised as little people, and you've raised little people yourself, we tend to tell little people that they shouldn't do certain things, trying to keep them safe. Eventually, as they get a little bit older, we're trying to keep them from being disappointed or being hurt. Sometimes it's their friends we're trying to protect them from being hurt from. But what we do inadvertently is we all learn how to not regard our emotions as important. Let's talk about the root of this, because I think it's really important as we advance this conversation today to talk about managing your emotions. We've got to get to the root of why these things get all jumbled up in us. So not why do parents parent that way, because we pretty much understand that as parents we're trying to protect our kids from feeling hurt and disappointment, but it doesn't really work that way, does it? When we tell them not to feel a certain, oh, stop crying about that, oh, stop worrying about that, she wasn't a good friend of yours anyway. So we dismiss feelings pretty easily from our kids. Let's talk about what that eventually kind of like does, as we're being such great parents.
Yeah, as a parent, I know we are wanting to help our kids to have a different perspective and number one, feel better, because a lot of times we take on other people's energy. So as a parent, it's like, I can't be happy unless my child's happy. So I really need you to see things differently. So you're feeling better and I'm feeling better. And so it really doesn't work that way, but that, and then the child takes in whatever the parent has said and interprets it in their own dialogue of like, oh, I can't trust my feelings, or, oh, I'm not supposed to feel this way. And so then there's mixed messages within themselves of not being able to trust what they're feeling and what they're thinking and how to maneuver through situations that are difficult.
Right. Just to take a little second to say hello to some folks, Loretta, Darcy, Michelle, Kathy, and ladies, and if there's any gentlemen here, please let us know that you're here so we can say hello and know that you're joining us today. It's always lovely to have some of our clients and other fans joining us for these discussions. Motivational Monday does take on a different turn week to week, so always happy to have folks here. As Amy is describing what sometimes some of our parenting to prevent our kids from experiencing is, it's sometimes our own knee-jerk reaction for not wanting to be uncomfortable ourselves. So we are maybe erroneously, but we're just human beings, wanting our kids to not feel what they're feeling because it doesn't feel good to us. And we think ultimately our child shouldn't have to feel that way. They're there now. Don't feel bad. You'll make other friends. We say innocently as we're trying to soothe a middle school aged daughter from a friend breakup that her heart's broken and we don't know what to do to help her. Okay, so we are innocently walking the path of teaching our kids how to deny their feelings. We wake up at the age of, I don't know, you pick it, 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, and we've had decades of practice denying our feelings. So we're in a situation where we have these big feelings about something, and what do we do because we're not taught how to manage our feelings? We push them down. So repressing our feelings has a lot of implications. And the biggest implication it has is that feeling then gets into our energy body and sort of hangs out dormant, but it's still an attractor pattern, hanging out in our energy body, looking to get some love. All of our repressed feelings are being magnetized, unbeknownst to us, and they're looking to come out and get healed. But if we keep repressing them, what's going to happen is they're going to come out in arthritis, migraines, skin rashes, other ways to try to get our attention. Hey, do you know that we've got some feelings here that haven't been expressed yet? And life's getting a little bit difficult down here with all this crowded feeling stuff being pushed down over all these decades. So typically when we coach someone in our workshop, Amy, we're bringing their soul back to life, bringing their inner light. And the great thing about that is now there's some light on those repressed emotions. And now they can start to crawl out of their dormancy and be like, hey, here's a little bit of fear. Hey, here's a little bit of shame that you didn't express. Hey, here's a little bit of guilt. And all of these things begin to come up to be dealt with. Now, just like a loving parent, we don't want this to be the case, but we know how this works. If we don't feel the feelings that are there, we will not be able to heal, and our soul will continue to be constricted by all that baggage. When you are talking to a client, Amy, that is basically, let's just say, feeling some things for the first time or having some feelings deep within, what does this look like? What's the experience look like for someone that this is going on?
Well, a lot of times people feel a release. So when they have a safe place to be able to talk about what's going on, their thoughts, things that they thought maybe they were wrong about, and they have a safe place to release them. You can a lot of times feel physical. You can actually see them physically releasing, and sometimes it's tears, and tears are okay. That's a releasing mechanism.
Yep.
Sometimes the tightness in their throat releases, and sometimes a lot of times I hear, oh, my shoulders have dropped because the pressure and everything they were holding in released. So you can feel things emotionally, but you can also feel and see things on a physical level when they are when they have a safe place and they're not being judged and they're not judging themselves, and then they can just make sense of it and find their way out from this thing that they never felt like it was right, but they couldn't figure it out. So let me just suppress it and I'll deal with it later, or never.
Or never, right, exactly. So we find that when we can help one of our clients feel more comfortable with feeling something, that we know that they're on the road to healing something. And this is super, super important because I was raised like a lot of women on this planet. Don't feel that way. Don't feel that way. Oh, you shouldn't feel that way. Oh, you're a professional now. You shouldn't be feeling that. Ah, don't feel that. Like all the time deluged with don't feel. So Our first work to help our ladies do their work in our workshop is to help them feel. And what happens typically over decades of being taught not to feel is now we have an intellectual judgment on the feelings that we do have. So if a feeling comes up, we have this automatic trigger that begins to judge us, ourselves. We are judging ourselves for feeling that way. We are saying we shouldn't. We are now being our adult voice of telling ourselves we shouldn't feel that way. So now not only do we have this feeling that we don't know what to do with, but now we have this judgment energy on top of it. Double whammy. And one of the first things that we want folks to understand is, could we please get rid of the self-judgment? You have to begin to release intellectualizing how you feel in order to really feel. Neck down, feelings. Neck up, thoughts and intellectualization. What does rationalizing feelings look like as a coach, Amy?
Well, I think sometimes it's justifying and explaining. I think everyone has a need to be understood. So we're wanting to explain and justify why we feel. A lot of times, instead of just addressing how we feel, we're just explaining it. So it's almost like a distraction, really getting to the bottom of things, in our desire to be understood and heard. Those are just things that we might not be aware of that we're doing.
Right. And sometimes when we are feeling something and don't quite know how to handle it, we're actually expressing it in a way that we can handle it, which is like complaining or victimizing it, in order to have connection with someone and in order to have some level of expression. But what we're literally doing is driving it into a negative space. We are turning ourselves perhaps into a victim or into someone who has been done unto. And so now we're creating at least connection with another human being by complaining, venting, and what we're looking for is that connection. Please connect with me on this. Please love me no matter what I'm saying to you. And what we typically get is someone who probably wants to then fix our complaint. Now we're not being heard at all because now the emotion is just not even relevant. And now we're intellectualizing, we're rationalizing, and now the person that we may have shared that with becomes a fixer of something, and now we're feeling very frustrated. So sometimes we would abandon a conversation at this point. So we're getting a lot of comments right now. It looks like this is a pretty normal experience for a lot of, yes, and someone says, don't let anyone see you cry. So in order to heal what's really going on, you have to give yourself permission to feel. And here's the big myth, and Amy, I want you to elaborate on this. The big myth is, well, if I feel that feeling, it's going to take over and I may die. Like, we don't think that, but the primitive brain is so conditioned that we can't handle our feelings that it literally feels threatened with having a big feeling. And I will pretty comfortably say that there is no feeling that any human being could have to feel that's going to kill them. The expression of it may not feel great. And we've known people in our work, Amy, that have gotten sick to their stomach or had real physical symptoms in feeling feelings that have been lodged in there for such a long period of time. Let's talk about what it feels to feel a feeling and have it not be comfortable, but how good it is to do that.
Yeah, when you are able to not judge, I mean, I think that's the biggest thing is giving yourself permission to feel. And I want to kind of back up to what you were saying, like a panic attack or anxiety is really nothing more than suppressed fear. And the fear comes from the thoughts that you're thinking. And so the thoughts we think, then we attract another thought, and momentum gets going. And so if we're not dealing with them, we're actually adding to the amount of fear that we're feeling. And so that's why we're the desire to suppress. But it's important to be able to, I don't know, I say pause and take a deep breath when you feel that intensity coming, when you feel triggered. Learning how to change a behavior can be as simple as pausing and taking a deep breath so that you can identify what was I just saying to myself, because a lot of times we make it about our outside circumstances versus making it about what am I giving my attention to in this moment.
I'm going to use a very personal example of what we're talking about. If you're watching this live, we all are aware of the super unusual circumstances that are affecting the human planet right now. And we are definitely in an age where humanity is expressing a desire for greater connection, and we're moving through a big change on the planet. It looks on the surface like a lot of destruction, a lot of death, and a lot of negativity, which on the surface, it is. If we only look at the surface, we're going to be fooled as to the true meaning of the change that we are undergoing. And for most change, if we just look at the surface, we'll miss the whole point. So looking beneath the surface is really important. And that, as a inspirational person on this planet, as someone whose calling is to help people feel better and understand things at a different level, at an expansive level, I wanted us all in our team meeting today to have an experience of truly feeling what's going on and not just being motivators. So there was a very short video that I found on Facebook, I stumbled upon, that was playing a Lauren Daigle song, and there was a lot of images of people suffering and healthcare workers, and it was a montage of the pain that now a lot of human beings are going through. And I felt that it was important for all of us to have a bit of release, a bit of emotional release together as a team, as we share a common goal as a team, to have an expression and experience of being able to shed some tears, knowing what we as human beings are going through right now. And because our team feels safe with each other, and because we are appreciating what it feels like to feel and how it does heal us, I think we all had a profound experience watching that short 2-minute video clip. And what we all were allowing each other to do was to feel and to be safe and to have some release about what we're all feeling. And I know that as a team, we're close. We are all holding people's lives in our hands and taking good care of them as we do. It was important for us to recognize that we're all going through this tough time as well. It's not all inspirational opportunity. There is some real human pain going on and grief. So we felt that, and we allowed ourselves to feel it. And to me, it was a necessary aspect to being real with ourselves so that we can be real with our clients. This is the way to truly have a mastery, let's just call it, of our emotions, where we know that there's feelings there and literally wanting to coax them out, wanting to bring them forward, wanting to express them so that they won't stay trapped. Let's talk about what that takes, Amy, as far as a human being, what it takes to be able to say yes to our feelings. What does that take?
I think it is about accepting self and understanding that emotions are there to give you direction In other words, they're like indicators. So like the gas light on your car is an indicator. You wouldn't like put a smiley sticker over it and pretend you're not running low on gas.
Right.
Emotions are very much like the indicators that they give us feedback so that we can pay attention to what we have, what we're giving our attention to, the perspective that we're giving the situation. And so we have to be able to be at peace with whatever emotions come up for us. And I also think it's very helpful to be able to identify what you are feeling. And when you can, the moment that you ask yourself, what am I feeling? You are no longer caught up in the chaos outside of you. And
Right.
you now came inward where your strength and your power is. And you when you can look at where you're at, now you have a pulse on what you're giving your attention to. And now you have the ability to shift things for yourself if you choose.
Right. And so what we do, and Anne Marie, thanks for your comment. What we choose to feel isn't even just necessarily that feeling itself. It's a bunch of stored feelings that feel like that get shown the door. And that's the beautiful thing of being able to almost like provoke a feeling state so that we can have some of the feelings that are buried inside of us exit along with that. And to me, that's one of the most beautiful things about what's happening right now on the planet is that we are given an opportunity to shed layers of feelings of grief and hurt, fear, insecurity, disappointment, fear of lack. All of these feelings have an opportunity to be ushered out on a few different layers right now if we choose to feel. Now, it doesn't mean that we need to keep our focus there. We could just have the feelings and allow that to be the end of it. I've got these feelings. Now I had an experience of expressing some feelings. I was watching this video for 2 minutes and I was expressing feelings, and it brought up sadness, and it brought up all the times that I may have been overwhelmed, and all the times I may have been relieved or feeling happy about some supportive language. Like there was like banners that we saw and kids helping others, and those things actually, we know based on scientific studies, anytime we see another helping human being, it releases endorphins in our brain just to see that act of kindness. So all of these things are now wrapped up, scooting their way out, and all of us had a profound letting go of certain feelings, and there's a relief. One of our ladies in one of our programs last week had a really, really, really strong cry. She's in healthcare and she's been exposed to a lot of the front lines of all of this. She's an administrative person, so she hasn't necessarily had, gown and glove type of contact, but she's been watching it in real time. And she had a very, very big release of a cry that frankly was difficult for her because she's used to bottling up her feelings. And so we gave her a safe space and she was able to do that. Saturday was a watershed moment. Darcy, good to hear that. Melissa talks about we need to retrain ourselves after so many years of thinking and feeling a certain way. Yes, and Melinda, the great thing about this is that bottling up our emotions also stifles our career, because when we are so used to pounding those emotions in us and being judged first by ourselves, but then by others, we are stifling our power. So our soul gets totally stifled and choked off by decades of this pattern of not feeling. Amy, you know it as well as I do because we see it every single day and every single week in our Kick-Ass workshop. When we're able to help our clients actually feel, they can then feel their brilliance and how magnificent they are in their work. And that's a game changer. So folks, we're not just talking about feeling feelings that hurt, although that's usually what we're repressing. We're not usually repressing good feelings, although that does happen as well. It does happen as well, because we're afraid of those too. But once we start pulling off the layers of repressing feelings and we start feeling things that we've been scared of, we now can feel true, authentic feelings of our own power and brilliance. And one of the ladies who's here did a beautiful description of what she was looking forward to coming into the workshop. She put on sunglasses and knew that her brilliance was going to show up, and she was literally going to need sunglasses to be able to manage the brightness. And that was quite fun for all of us to see that. But what a metaphor that is. Sometimes when we help our ladies feel their feelings, even feeling their happy, great feelings about who they are can be even as challenging, maybe sometimes even more challenging than releasing some negative feelings. Amy, what happens when we're able to claim the good feelings and how awesome we are as well?
Well, that's a great point, Mo, because whenever we are suppressing any of the emotions, it keeps us from feeling the joy as well. But when you are able to feel everything, then there's no holding back. And really, when you are, we were never taught, if it feels good, it is good. In other words, when we are moving towards something that brings us joy, that allows the creative state to happen, to be in a place of passion and something that we are moving towards, we feel so alive. And that's what we see in these women that are given permission to feel everything. They become alive and they see their own brilliance, because we've been suppressed that and not being able to see the things we've accomplished, because well, that's no big deal. And a lot of times things that come so easy, like natural gifts, those are ignored because it's so easy. And so there's not a lot of joy in the ease, because we kind of associate, well, if it's hard and it's a struggle and then I overcome it, then it's good. But if it just comes easily and it's a natural gift that I do, then I don't give myself that much credit. So it's really wonderful to watch the women learn how to feel good about themselves, because honestly, it is such an important thing, because you are with you 24/7.
You are with you.
And so that comes first. And that's part of, the emotions are part of understanding your own internal guidance, your own divine connection with God's source. And so it's so important. And it's wonderful to watch people be able to feel everything.
Anne Marie wrote in a common problem that women hear, and that is perhaps male colleagues, sometimes female colleagues nonetheless, who are critical of when one might have a little extra dose of emotions. And I think sometimes what happens here is that we are uncomfortable with our feelings, so our insecurity of our feelings gets projected into the space of people receiving what we're feeling. So we get a little wobbly with, oh, I hope that I'm not going to be seen as da, da, da. So we're telegraphing some mixed stuff with how we're emoting. If you look at any good speaker, any good influencer on the planet, they have emotions and passion, but it is directed and it is certain and it is confident. When we have passion that we're not confident over, or when we're feeling wobbly, oh no, I hope this doesn't turn into something that I don't want, we are telegraphing all of those mixed signals. So people are likely to want to shut us down. If we are emotional in a way that we are channeling it purposefully and that we are using it as a way to leverage our conviction or our expertise or credibility, then we're able to pour it into something that is more well received by others. Now, granted, with that being said, there's a lot of unconscious bias about women having power and about women having powerful emotions, which is why we've been shut down for centuries and thousands of years. So it is time ladies and gentlemen, for us to claim our feelings, both good, great, wonderful, awesome feelings, and those that don't feel good, great, and awesome. Anne says that there was a lot of caterpillars and butterflies Saturday, a lot of metamorphosing going on. So we do have to work through the downside of having powerful feelings. And when we get into our power and own the truth of having those feelings, when that becomes good and powerful and purposeful, we're not going to be shut down. The first few times we do it, we're going to be wobbly because it's like testing territory and, oh, people might like criticize or whatever. So I want everyone to understand that your emotions are a good thing. On any barometer of emotions, and good or bad, they're good. Here's the thing. If you repress them, they turn into energy that is going to hurt you. If we feel them, they're going to come right through and not be too harmful. It may take a second or a minute or two, but if you allow your feelings to come through and you have enough confidence to play with them and to allow them, you're going to have strength. And that strength will build into you having the ability to navigate, and you become a master then of your emotions and your emotional state. And that's really where freedom is. We're talking a lot about emotions today, Amy, and I do want to make a shout out because we do help women all the time with handling these types of issues in our Kick-Ass workshop. And if you're not part of our workshop or you haven't pursued the opportunity to possibly do some deep work and get your career on track, you may want to consider booking a career clarity call. And I believe the first comment at the top, I believe our handy dandy director of operations put the link there. It's mofaul.com/live clarity call. And I'll just maybe put that right up here. There we go. That link will get you a booking for a complimentary career clarity call where we actually sort out what's going on. I just spoke to a lovely woman earlier today who has a lot of stumbling about with some career choices that she's made that haven't worked out. And now she's kind of pretty far back for where she wants to be. And she's feeling bad about it. And she's trying to figure out the next strategy. I offered her the insight that perhaps feeling a certain way would help her release some of what she's trying to overcome. She's actually trying to outrun how she feels. And so we tend to make decisions about careers and jobs when we are trying to outrun some feelings that we can't outrun. Catch us. They do catch us. So if you'd like to have your career taken a look at, and we'll sort through it with you, and if we can help you, we'll talk about that. And if not, we'd be happy to give you some strategies or perhaps another coach or something else to help you out. So Mercedes, nice to meet you. I'm assuming that it feels good to hear that is about how all of our feelings are good. All of our feelings are good. Letty knows how to live purposefully. So thanks for that comment. And Carla knows how to work herself into the feelings being in the green zone. Amy, what are some ways that anyone who's listening to this could manage their feelings with a little bit more dexterity? What are some things to help people out?
Well, I always encourage whenever you are triggered and you're feeling your energy dropping to just take a moment and take a deep breath in for 4 seconds and then breathe out. And then give yourself permission to move your energy. And that could be physically, like get up, go to another room, walk the stairs, get outside, get some fresh air, turn some music on that you like, something lighthearted, drink some water, do something that's good for you. Anytime you're willing to do something for yourself, it's a benefit and it will raise your energy up. And sometimes journaling and writing things out so that you can get some of that out and get some clarity can be very beneficial when you're feeling triggered about things.
Right. You know, giving yourself space, even though in these times where we're not giving ourselves very much space, just stepping outside and having greater space around you, especially in these times, is a great way to kind of metaphorically open yourself up a little bit. And just physically, even if you just open your arms up and allow your chest to expand and just feel what you're feeling. If I'm feeling a little bit sad and I know that there's something that wants to come up and get a little bit of attention, I'll give it permission and opportunity to come up and feel, which is one of the reasons why I like watching movies that make me cry a little bit, because I'm always releasing a little bit of something with a movie that makes me tear up. I was also mentioning in our team meeting how I watched a movie that made me feel sad for how women have been oppressed over the years and objectified in work a lot. And that made me feel really sad, not only for my own experiences personally, but also for women all around the globe who have had those experiences. And so I've been holding some of that in with me still. And so allowing ourselves to give ourselves permission to let it go. Jay Shree saying she danced to music last night to lift your mood. Excellent. So just as much as we can give ourselves permission to feel feelings that are kind of lodged in there, also giving ourselves permission to feel feelings that feel great and move us into a higher vibrational feeling state. That's being a master of our emotions. So if I can recognize where I'm at with my emotional state, I can now make decisions. Do I want to express this? Do I want to feel this? Do I want to spend some time with it? Do I want to move myself to the feeling of letting it release itself and grabbing on to another feeling state that feels better? So those are some of the things that we can do when we're feeling a feeling that we don't want, or to maximize feelings that we do want. And yes, Jess, yoga is great if you like yoga. There have been plenty of times in my life where I have not liked yoga and it has not made me feel great. It has made me feel darn lousy. So yoga can feel good. As a matter of fact, I did a whole series of sun salutations today because I wanted to feel that feeling of expansion and openness and using my body in that way. So today was a good day for some yoga moves for me. But I also know with my experience with yoga over 20 plus years, some days it just doesn't feel as good as I want it to. And so I don't do it. So we also need to be aware of all of that feedback. We know what we're feeling, and then we can recognize it, and then we make choices. If you know what you're feeling, you can then make better choices about your life and minute by minute what you're choosing to focus on, what you're choosing to do. And if you'd like to move yourself to higher vibrational rates, go do something that feels better. Amy, what are you going to do tonight that's going to make you be in the emotional state that you want to be in?
I might take a little walk later. I really enjoy being outside, and moving my body feels really great.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. I'm going to do some coaching tonight. That's going to bring me to a great place of authenticity. And no matter what you do tonight, ladies, any gentlemen who are here, recognize and be aware of what's going on internally, because that is the beginning of mastery of your emotions. You're going to have emotions. You're going to have lots of them over the next month plus. There's going to be more than usual. So if you can allow yourself to pay attention and create some inner awareness, you're going to be living a bit healthier, and you're going to be allowing yourself to release and open up the things that need to be released. So enjoy. And yes, Mary, if I could sing like you, I would definitely sing to feel great. And thank you for blessing all of us with your singing yesterday or whatever it was over the weekend. That was really a glorious treat to watch you sing. And Jess, you've done that sometimes too. So that's the other thing that's really fun. All these talents that everyone has that they are expressing on Facebook and sharing with the world, like that feels super good, super good. So keep on doing it, ladies. Share your talents, share your feelings. Be in a space of allowing the things that don't feel great to have some room to work through you, and allow yourself the permission to move your feeling state to where you want to live. Amy, thanks so much for joining me on this Motivational Monday little broadcasting announcement. Amy will also be joining me on my Unity Radio show on Thursday at 12 noon Eastern on Unity Radio. Just watch this Facebook page for the reminder on that. And I'll see everyone tomorrow morning for my Daily Mo. It's the Power Yourself Up series. Amy, thanks again. And it's a pleasure coaching with you. And I'm glad to be alongside you on this journey of life. Thank you again.
Thank you, Mo.
All right. This is career coach Mo Faul. You can find me everywhere on social media at Coach Mo Faul or mofaul.com. Don't forget to book your clarity call if you want to get your career moving in the right direction, especially in these times of great expansion. Opportunities abound for those who are ready. We'll see you next time. Again, Amy, I'll see you tomorrow night on the coaching call. Bye, everyone. There we go.